I drink this coffee?
Oh, bro, of course.
Okay, cool. I just want to make sure I'm not like bringing in like I'm not trying to like promote Starbucks right now. I kind of need this right now. I'm like dying.
No, yeah, my brand with Gatorade, they might be a little upset that
Yeah, they're gonna be like, whoa.
Whoa, what is this Starbucks coffee doing here? Bonsai, I'm the Cobra Kai kid, and today I am joined by Patrick Luwis for my very first Cobra Kai season 6 part 2 interview.
Yo.
Patrick, thank you so much for joining me. How are you doing today?
Good, man. Thanks for having me. I didn't know this was okay. This is your very first one for part 2. All right.
Very first
I'm
one
honored.
for part 2.
It's great.
I'm so excited to chat with you. I feel like for part 2, having you talking to you is like a good one because obviously this was your first section of Cobra Kai episodes. We were introduced to your character. A lot happened with your character. Oh my goodness, crazy.
Oh my gosh, I know. Yeah, it's been I mean, I know we hopped on a call after and talked about it, but it's just like a lot to digest, and you almost feel like you need to see it again, and you're like, I can't believe, did that actually happen? And yeah, I know it's an insane 5 episodes, but it's so exciting. I really I really enjoyed it. It was so much fun.
Yeah. As soon as I finished watching, I called you right away.
No, you're like freaking out. I love it though. I love your enthusiasm, you know, like that's what makes it so fun. I mean, you have to like get that into it, you know, it's great. No, I was so happy that you enjoyed it. I was really looking forward to like anticipating your reaction. So I'm glad you liked it.
Oh, awesome, man.
Yeah, man.
Dude, I actually videoed all my reactions, so I'm gonna
You did?
upload those. Yeah, all my reactions. So if you have a certain scene in particular that you like to say, you're like, I wonder how you reacted to that.
I have a question. When you're doing that, is there a pressure to like, are you like aware that you're like, okay, I'm recording my reaction, so I probably should like give something good here, or do you just let it be completely natural? Or is it like, because I feel like you would have a good reaction regardless of whether or not you were like, you know, putting on so, but like, are you just sitting there and whatever comes, or are you like trying to? I feel like I'm giving away your secrets right now.
Giving away all my secrets.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, it's funny because like I get a lot of comments like your reactions are so over the top. Like why are you acting like that? And
Yeah.
it's like the truth is, it's like I'm just watching and the camera's just on, and I literally forget it's there. So what I do is I put my phone in the corner and I set it on me, and I just record the whole time while I'm watching, and I'm just watching, and like there. I'll put it this way. Like there have been certain reactions that I've just had reactions where I did not want to post them because they were too over the top.
That's hilarious. Yeah.
I was too into it. If I was doing it for the camera, I would narrow it down a bit so I could actually upload it. But there were some that like season 5 when Miguel and Sam broke up, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, you're just genuinely that invested, which is awesome, by the way. That's a great way to be. Yeah. That's cool though, man. But yeah, part 2. Craziness.
Insane. I first want to ask you, like, since the release, you know, it's been maybe like 14 days, 2 weeks. So yeah, today's exactly 2 weeks, right? Yeah.
Yeah, has it been 2 weeks? Has it been?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. Wow.
At the time of filming this. So
wow.
Okay. Like walk me through like what has it been like from release to like, because I know you've been doing interviews.
Dude.
I know the social media has been blowing up. Like
what's barely
going
go get
on?
a cup of coffee. I mean, I'm just it's I'm totally kidding. It's been so fun, man. It's definitely it is a little bit like overwhelming, you know, because I feel like I only had an idea of how I think the first thing initially is like, I really hope the people who have been fans of the show for a while are going to like this. And I think for the most part, it's been well received. So that's like the first thing where the anxiety kind of like goes away after it's been out for a couple of days. But yeah, I feel like I've just been sort of like inundated with things like, you know, and so it's just been like a little bit overwhelming in terms of just, you know, my personal life, but it's also been great and so fun. And the interviews are fun, and like it's great to be able to talk about it finally and like share in people's excitement. So it's really been an awesome 2 weeks, man. I'm really, and it's still so crazy to me that like I keep reminding myself there's another part, like I almost forget. I'm like, yeah, that's it. And it was great. Really, I'm like, oh God, there's 5 more episodes coming out. It's crazy,
Yeah. No, it's so awesome that they're doing that, especially like for someone like you who's just joining the show. Like, so I mean, this is the final season,
Right.
but in a way, it's kind of like you're getting that feel of 2 seasons.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, totally. The way they've set it up is, and I know it's like also it's like it is hard to wait in between for the new episodes to drop, but it also is like it's nice because you kind of just got like fresh anticipation, and I don't know, but I know people are like eager to see it, obviously, but February will be here before we know it.
Exactly. I mean, I try to view it like, once we get it, that's it. So it's like, let's
Let's savor it a little bit. Yeah, it's like
let's savor it, because
right.
if it comes out tomorrow, that's it. Cobra Kai's done.
I
Like,
know.
no,
I think
Cobra
that's
Kai
the
never
hard
dies.
part too. Is like knowing that it's going to be done after this, which is
That's crazy.
that's a bummer. Well, it's a
Hey,
good hell of a run though.
yeah, and you never know. I mean,
Yeah.
look, I I remember talking to Brandon, and by the way, the spoilers, guys. I was talking to Brandon before part 2, and I'm like, like maybe like 30 years down the line, they'll bring your character in. I guess that's not gonna happen, but maybe if part
What
3.
was his face? What was his face like when you said that? Was he like, you're like, yeah, dude, totally. Can't wait to bring him back.
I gotta go back and rewatch and see his response. I think he was like,
Yeah,
maybe,
no, that'd be definitely.
that'd be cool. You never know.
You
But
never
like,
know what they could do.
and unless something crazy happens to your character, where I don't know, maybe like
Who knows?
maybe
Who
we'll
knows?
see you back in a future Cobra Kai iteration, movie, spinoff.
I would love that. I do. I do think it's like it kind of feels like a no-brainer to keep the world alive, just because it's like just such a there's just so many people who love the Karate Kid, love Cobra Kai. It just feels like that fan base isn't going away, and I think they would be like I imagine that they would be incredibly supportive and excited about anything new, like any sort of spin-off of So that'd be cool. It's exciting to think about what might be coming up down the line.
For sure.
Yeah.
So you mentioned like, and understandably like, everything being like really awesome but also overwhelming.
Right.
And like, right now like you're dealing with like, the success of the success of the show, all the interviews, but then also like your personal life. How are you balancing all that right now? Like so you're able to like, enjoy all those things that are coming with it, but also like still keep like the normalcy of life and everything.
Yeah, no, it honestly has not been super easy, but it's also at the same time it's like I mean, I can't make it seem like it's the most overwhelming thing in the world. Like I'm not, I can still, but for me, it just feels like I feel like I can get overwhelmed pretty easily. So anything that's above the norm, it's like, oh God, like I'm firing on all cylinders trying to, but it's been, dude, it's been really fun. I'm trying to look at it like it's all just remember that this is all just a good thing. This is something you should be really excited about as an actor, as just as a person, and like terms of what we accomplished on the show. And yeah, so I'm trying to like look at it as excitement, and like in terms of like balancing it with my personal life. I mean, maybe I think in some ways I got kind of lucky because I think I can really just lean into it and enjoy it because it's the holiday season. I mean, it's really not that busy. Like acting slows down a lot this time of year, and so I'm kind of just like enjoying the show being out, and waiting and auditioning for the next thing and all that. So it hasn't been too bad, but yeah, no, it's been all in all, it's been good.
Great. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So how did this acting journey start? Can you take us back to like when you first realized you wanted to become an actor?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, man. It was. I'm trying to think now. It's like how long has it been? I think it's been about 6 years since I've been in LA, and obviously I've been through the whole like COVID and the strike
Mm.
and all the craziness that's been going on since I was out here. But it all started for me in college. I kind of got into it like last minute. It was something that I never really thought I'd like in high school. I'd always I was aware of it. I maybe had a couple friends who had done plays, and it's always seemed like, oh, that'd be an interesting thing, but I never had any like, you know, my mom had done one play, but she wasn't like actively doing theater or anything when I was growing up. So I didn't really have many people to look up to in that sense, like in that world. I mean, so it just never really felt like something I would end up doing. And then, so I really lucked my way into it because when I got to college, um, I was at a liberal arts school, so you had to take just a certain amount of core curriculum requirements. So you take like a fine arts course and all this stuff. So I took a theater class for my fine arts because it just seemed
Mhm.
like I had a couple friends tell me it was fun and a little, easy and whatever. The teacher was great. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. Sounds great. And that was sort of the start for me. I took that class and I was like, oh my gosh, this is amazing. I was loving it. It was so much fun. And then I auditioned for a play at my school for Romeo and Juliet, and I got that, and I was like, okay. So then I did this play. So it was like really a pretty quick start. It was like from this class to doing a play, and then I think, man, by the time I was done with that play, I was like, this is, I don't want to stop doing this. And I still
Mm.
didn't know at that point if it was going to be, I don't think I had that feeling of like, this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my life in that moment. But I definitely, it was something it's funny. I was talking to Brandon about this the other day. We both shared in this. I'm sure a lot of people can, have had a similar feeling, but, it was the first thing that I wanted to work really hard at, if that makes sense. Like I had played sports, I'd done other stuff, and I did work hard in it, and I cared about it. But this was the first thing that I was like, I'm gonna spend way more time doing this than I've ever done. Like staying after rehearsals and rehearsing for an extra hour and doing all this stuff on my own to prepare for the character and all that stuff. So it was just, I was like, okay, that's telling me something. That's telling me this is, I obviously really enjoy this. And, and then I ended up moving to LA, like after school, after about a year of being at home and working and interviewing for other jobs, being like, I should just go do this and see what happens. And that was 6 years ago. Yeah. And that was also the longest explanation ever.
No,
Yeah.
no, that was
So I won't
great.
do the whole story.
I mean, for you just put 6 years into a few minutes, so I feel like that's a
Yeah,
pretty good.
maybe it's not that long. Yeah.
No, I'm sure you can go more in depth, which I'd love you to. Like, I'm curious, like, what about that specific theater class in particular? Like, what was it about the class that drew you? Was it the
Yeah.
teacher? Was it a certain acting activity that you did? Like,
Yeah.
when was the moment within that you realized?
Yeah, I love that question. It was a little bit of both. It was the teacher was it was the lightness of it. It was like, oh, I'm in college right now. Every other class I've taken has been, they're all interesting and you enjoy it, but some stuff obviously stands out more than others. So I think for one, it was just like, man, this professor is really fun, and this is like very very exciting. I can't believe I'm at school right now and working. This is so much fun. And then in terms of yeah, there was the first exercise we did. I think it was really just for people who hadn't performed yet. It was like a way to get our nerves out and like practice doing something performative. So I did like a reenactment of an SNL sketch. I did a reenactment of Chris Farley doing the van down by the river one, which is so funny. I don't know why I chose that. I don't know if it was chosen for me, and it didn't relate to anything else we were doing later on that year in the class, but it was just like an exercise to get everyone kind of get your feet wet. And I did that, and I literally was like, this is so much fun. I was the performance part of it, I felt so comfortable and I felt like I was making people laugh. It just felt good. Do you know what I mean? I just got like a positive reinforcement from that. I was like, this is really cool. So I think that was enough I think when you do something for the first time and it feels natural and you feel kind of good at it, it's like, okay, I want to keep, if it was really challenging and I was like, oh God, I feel incredibly nervous and nobody's laughing. And this just feels, obviously if you love it, you're still doing it, but you still would keep doing it. But I think for me, it just felt like, um, yeah, it just felt like a no brainer to keep trying it because I was really enjoying it. I felt like I was good at it. So yeah.
Yeah, where do you think that confidence came from? Because I mean, there's a lot of people that like get up on stage or perform. Like I know myself, like I've
Yeah.
I've done some acting things and I'm like nervous. Like, but how did you why do you think that you found yourself being confident right away doing it? Or
I have no idea, man. It's so interesting because I don't think of myself as maybe more so now, but back then I did not think of myself as a confident person. In fact, I actually really struggled with if I ever had to do like a group presentation or solo presentation or read something excerpt from a book or something in class, anything like that. I got super nervous. I could almost feel it. There was like a vibration in my voice. Like I almost couldn't do it. So it was such a shocker, and I think a lot of my friends were shocked too. They're like, "Why is he like? I can't believe he's doing this. This just seems like so out of left field."
yeah.
But there's something about there's something I think it's like very different being yourself and doing something like that versus like public speaking, for example, which I also
Mm.
ended up doing in college. I think to kind of get over my fear of it, which I still have a bit, but I tried. You know, you got to like put yourself in those situations to get over them. But I think with acting, there's a way you can kind of hide behind what you're doing. You know, it's like you're playing a character; it's not you. So just for whatever reason, it doesn't feel as intimidating. It's sort of like,
Mm.
oh no, that's not me up there. That's like this guy that I'm playing, and you're not seeing me, so I feel like safe, and it doesn't really, you know, like the nerves aren't there as much. But there's always, of course, you get that, and people talk about it, especially with theater because so much can go wrong. You know, like this is a really funny story and a crazy story, but when I was doing Romeo and Juliet, I think it was like our second or third week of running.
Mhm.
So I was pretty comfortable in the character and the performance at that point.
Were you Romeo?
I was Romeo, yeah.
You were Romeo.
I
Oh,
was,
okay,
yeah,
awesome.
sorry. Did I not say that? I
I,
thought I said
I
that.
you said you were in Romeo and Juliet, and I was like, I'm guessing Romeo, but I just
Okay,
want to
yeah.
make sure.
Yeah. I was Romeo, and
First play ever. Wow.
yeah, which was great. And Shakespeare, so I was like, man, this is a cool introduction to doing this.
Yeah.
But there was an issue with one of our cast members midway through the performance one night had something happen, and he had to like leave the performance midway through. So we were in it. We had to scramble. Like I remember waiting for him to come on stage as like waiting for his. It was his cue to like come on and say his line, and he wasn't coming on. And I was just like, "What the hell are we gonna do here?" And so I had to like end up improvising Shakespeare, which is like literally impossible to do. It was I probably looked like such an idiot. And that's a crazy example. Like that's obviously not going to happen. But like the whole point is theater has that, you know, it's like in TV film, something's not working or you're uncomfortable. It's like, let's cut, let's take
Yeah,
it.
yeah.
And theater, there's always like so much anxiety going into it. Usually once you say your first line, you're good. But the anxiety of like, what if I forget something? Or what if, you know, this person forgets something, then I need to scramble. Like just the uncertainty of what could maybe go wrong, but that's also what makes it exciting, I guess. So it goes
Mm,
both ways.
yeah.
Yeah.
What do you prefer? Do you prefer film acting or theater acting?
I prefer film acting for sure.
Okay. How come?
Um, just because the money. No, I'm totally kidding. No,
Well,
just
well,
I'm absolutely joking. I would say I like both. I think theater makes you a better actor. I think if you come from theater, I think if you look at like so many of the best actors in Hollywood, like so many people have a theater background or trained at like a conservatory. I think it really sharpens you as an actor, and I'd honestly love to do more of it. I just enjoy TV film because I just prefer that kind of acting. Like I kind of like a more subtle, you know, just I don't know. I feel like you can like Cobra Kai, I could never do, you know, like you could do stunts, you could do that kind of stuff. I don't know. It just doesn't feel as like, I just love the way TV and film looks. I love how what you're shooting on the day can just be turned into this like really magical looking thing with cinematography and sound design and all stuff. I just like that. I think it adds to like you know, I don't know, it just adds to what you're seeing. It just makes it that much more powerful or whatever. But I also think, yeah, you like both for different reasons, you know. But right now, I've just really been. I kind of want to just go full throttle on the TV film stuff, just because I feel like I'm just sort of getting into that and getting my feet wet with that. So I kind of just want to stick with that for a while, and I'll probably like I definitely want to get back into doing some theater at some point, but I don't think it'll be unless like some crazy opportunity comes up and I'm like, I have to take this. Then for the time being, I think we'll just, yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome.
Thanks, man.
So, okay. So speaking of Cobra Kai, you play Axel, a new character.
No, I'm just kidding.
You do? Yeah, so basically, you're
Whoa.
in the Iron Dragons. I'm just gonna tell you your role.
Tell me,
um,
dude. I have no idea. This
but
is a
dude,
wild hair day, by the way. I've been trying to fix it. Maybe like sometimes it just doesn't cooperate. Anyway, sorry, you were saying.
is that the what was the Axel hair? Which is the regular hairstyle?
This is my usual hairstyle, but honestly, the more I've been thinking about it and after watching the show, I was like, I kind of like that hairstyle. I think I sort of want to go back to maybe not. I don't think I'm gonna be walking around with like spiked up hair and like blonde highlights or whatever. But I think I think just a shorter, more like clean cut look is maybe a better look. You know, this just gets crazy. It's too hard to manage. And I'm literally like throughout our interview, I've been trying to like, I'm like, oh God, there's like a piece flying out this way. I'm like, I'm trying to concentrate on the question you're asking me. Yeah. No. So anyway,
I don't know how I don't know how Sholo does it during those fights. He is that huge head of hair. How does he?
it just stays in place. I don't know how it cooperates like that, but mine doesn't do that. I don't know.
Or William Christopher Ford, who plays Dennis.
Well, he's got some serious hair.
Yeah. Did you get to talk to him at all on set?
I did. He was such a nice guy. We rode to and from set together a couple times, and then obviously like we're there on the day, but or working together on set. But I just remember talking to him a couple times in the like transpo van, just going to set, and he was such a nice guy. He was really great. He was just so excited to be there, and you know, just a cool, and still text me occasionally too, and be like, "Great job," and we love. So it's just just a very nice man.
Yeah, the Iron Dragon family.
Weird. Yeah, absolutely.
It's awesome.
But I'm sorry, I cut you off with my stupid joke when you were trying to talk about something serious. Go ahead.
You're all right. You're all right. I was just gonna ask you, how did you get the role? And can you talk about like the audition process and walk us through that whole experience?
Yeah, man. I got so my manager told me about the role. It was not something where it was literally like any other thing I'd auditioned for. Like he'll let me know if there's something. He's like, "Oh, I think this is good for you," or whatever, or "I'm pitching you for this." And I'd read for that casting office a bunch and liked them a lot. They're great. And he was like, "Hey, there's this role in Cobra Kai. Like this is the breakdown." And of course, I was reading through it. And I was like, "Okay, Karate Machine. Okay, that's not me." International. Okay, that's also not me. And then like a couple other things, and I was just like, man, I told him because I never want to turn down an opportunity, but there was definitely a moment where I was like, I just don't like. They're just gonna give this to someone who has an accent or who has done karate. Like there's just like it wouldn't make sense to give this to somebody who doesn't really have either of those things. But yeah, anyway, I still did it. I still was like, I'm gonna
Are you hiding Terry Silver or something there? Like what's
the noise.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
So anyway, yeah, quiet down over there. No, sorry about that.
Okay, just kidding.
But where was I? Okay, yeah. So I ended up taping it anyway because I was like, obviously this is an opportunity. I'm not going to turn it down. I'm just going to do my best, try it. And like as I was doing the audition, it felt so natural. I remember I was reading with my girlfriend, and she was like, "This feels pretty good, actually." And I was like, "I know it does feel. It feels really good. I don't know where this like accent came from, or sort of, it was the audition scene was the beach scene with Sam, and I think it just felt really really natural and easy. And then I had like a scene with Wolf, like a training scene, and that was sort of that was the audition, and it just felt really really natural. And then I ended up getting a call back, and I was like, oh, sweet. This is cool. This is going in a direction I didn't think it would. And then I went in person and I met Hayden and John. I don't know if Josh was there that day, but then the casting directors, and we kind of like, it felt pretty informal. Like it didn't feel like a typical callback where you're like waiting in a room with other people and they're going in for like 5 minutes, then they come out and you're like, okay, it's my turn. And like, they just seemed really patient. Like we probably spent like 30 minutes going over stuff, and they really took their time, and we were just sort of having a conversation in the room, and it just felt like, so that just really put me at ease. And then we did the scene a couple times, worked it, and I found out like a couple days after that that I got it. And I was like, this is amazing. It was such a surprise, just a surprise in the sense that like from when I got the audition at first to booking it, I was like, this is, bless you, sneeze or cough?
Cough.
Oh, cough. Oh, sorry.
Thank you though.
Bless you. Yeah.
Bless? Okay, sorry.
But anyway, yeah, that's kind of it,
Wow.
Yeah,
That's incredible.
yeah.
So, okay, I think it's what's so interesting too is like with a lot of the new characters that they casted, like most of them for this tournament. And this is what the creators have like even said. They've said that like what we've been able to do because we're so late in the game, like now with season 6, we're able to cast these actual real life martial artists to play these characters. Because in season 1, when you're casting Sholo and Jacob and Mary, they don't know martial arts, but they have 6 seasons to grow and learn.
Right.
So that's why for season 6, they're like, let's get these already established martial artists. But
Definitely.
you were very new to it, so like, what was that like to join this cast of people who have been doing martial arts for all this time and having to figure it out on a very quick schedule? Because Cobra Kai, I mean, I'm sure you can explain this. The schedule of training and filming, it's all very quick.
It was super intimidating, like that was definitely the most intimidating part for me. It just felt like there were so many things to almost be like, I felt like to be embarrassed by, because I remember showing up for the first training day. Everyone was so nice, so they made it really easy. But I remember just feeling like, God, I'm like, I know I need to go through this. Like we almost do like training drills, like everyone kind of go through and do like front kicks or roundhouse or something. And I was like, I just am worried I'm going to look so stupid here. And we haven't started filming yet. So I'm like, I don't want to get like recast or something, or have them be like, we made a mistake. This guy needs to look like the most threatening fighter in the tournament. If Patrick, who would cast me, obviously, like if he doesn't show up and he can't pick it up quickly, then we might have to like go with someone. You always have that fear in the back of your mind. But I remember one thing that helped me was, I think I got really lucky with Ken Bearfield and Don Lee and all the people who were in control of the stunts and stunt coordinators. And then also my stunt double, Matt Mullins, was just such a instrumental part to getting me where I needed to be. I mean, he was like really patient, just super kind, and didn't, he wasn't like, there was no pressure. Whenever we would go through a set of beats or fight choreography, he'd be really patient with me. And I think just the way he approached it made it so much easier for me. And I think, I don't know, I think like I'd played sports before, and I sort of had like an athletic background. So I think that helped a little bit. But then, there was other things too. Like I was going, after the very first day we did that training, I was on the bus, not the bus, but this, I guess it was kind of a bus, whatever, back to the hotel. And I was sitting next to Raina, and we were talking about it. And I was like, gosh, like, I'm just like really intimidated because all you guys are these elite martial artists. And she was like, well, I'm intimidated too, because this is actually my first like real acting job. So I was like, we sort of shared the opposite thing. I was like, oh, this is your first time doing an acting job, but you're an extremely good martial artist. And I'm like, I've done a couple acting things before, so I feel more comfortable with that, but I've never done any martial arts. So it's like everybody has their thing. Like it's always intimidating. You just have to lean into it and give it your all. But I'm still like, to this day, I really am. I don't really know how we got to everything to look the way it did. I feel like, shout out to the stunt guys, and I'm super proud of the way everything looks. I'm like really happy with how it turned out.
It came out really good too. So yeah, it was awesome. And it's funny because when you tell that story about you and Raina, That kind of sounds like a scene out of Cobra Kai where it's like, yeah, I don't know, like I feel this way, and then she's like, yeah, I feel this way too. And it's like
Right,
it's
right,
like a
right.
heartwarming like like I put a camera on that. I feel like that's a beautiful scene.
Write it. Write it. We'll shoot it. Yeah,
I'm
let's
gonna I'm gonna shoot that movie. So did you guys connect? I mean, obviously you guys were like the Iron Dragons duo. So how did you guys? Was that how you guys connected as like friends on set? Like what was your on set relationship like?
Yeah, well, we were spending a lot of time together because we're also so there were the new Cobra Kai guys, Daniel, Yoon, and Brandon Kwan, R.I.P. Who was they had already been there for a week, which isn't a ton of time, but on set, or I think it was a week, but for on set, that's a pretty long time because you're spending 14-hour days sometimes with these people, so you get to know people quickly.
Mhm.
So they were already in and they were with their dojo. So like the way the tournament's set up, obviously, is like a lot of the time, like in between filming, you're just standing there with your dojo because there's a lot
Mhm.
of shots that are like wides of everything. So it's like you're kind of with your people most of the time. And you obviously like will walk around and mingle or whatever. You're with your people, you know? And so Raina and I were new, and so obviously like we had a lot of time to just catch up and get to know each other, just because we were spending so much time just hanging out, like in our group and the other Iron Dragons and Lewis Tan and everybody. So yeah, so we just got like we just kind of hit it off really quick, and she's just so great and really nice, and yeah, you share things, you're like if you're nervous about something or you encourage each other, it's just good. It's like, just so it's amazing how, like I said earlier, it's just film sets. I think you can, part of the reason I love them so much is you just get close to people so quickly and in a way, like it's unlike any other job because you really are, you're just there for hours and hours and hours. So it's like, you might as well talk about something because, you might otherwise just be sitting there doing nothing. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
By the way, I really appreciate you for like, opening up and sharing that story about how like how you were like, nervous in the beginning, like joining the set and
Yeah.
feeling the insecurities about the fighting cuz it's just such a relatable thing like,
Yeah.
like when I first started film school, it's like I'm doing acting, but it's like I'm around all these other or sorry, filmmaking, but I'm around all these other great filmmakers. I don't know how I level up. So
Yeah.
it's good that you like are open about it. It's awesome. So thank you for
Yeah.
sharing.
I think I heard somebody, I don't know who said this, but I've heard people say that just doesn't go away either. And I believe that. So I think it's like
Mhm.
something you don't, it's like you asked me about the confidence thing earlier. Like, I don't know if you really, I mean, some people are just incredibly confident, but I feel like
Yeah.
it's something, you earn it with experience. I mean, over time, you're just like, I'm always going to be nervous for the next thing, but I've also been through this enough times where you're going to come out the other end and you're going to be okay. And you just sort of
Mhm.
like have to learn to be okay with that. Cause like, yeah, man, of course you're going to be intimidated. And I also think like, if you're not intimidated, then you're just sort of you're not being arrogant, but you're also like just assuming everything's going to go great. And it's like, I don't think that's a good attitude to have either. I think you want to be a little bit like nervous and really, cause that makes you work harder. That makes you like really, you know, excel because you want to like make sure it's great. And I think so, yeah, so they're not always a bad thing, like I feel like nerves are not necessarily a bad thing and you just kind of turn it into excitement, but I think they're always there, so you just have to like become friends with them instead of pretend like hoping that they're not there.
Yeah. And yeah, so it's also it's not like you had this arc of going from someone who didn't know any martial arts to someone who is like, in the show, like we see like Miguel and Kenny, they don't know any
Yes.
martial arts. So they could, and because they didn't do martial arts in the beginning, they're actually, it's kind of like true to themselves where they're
Yeah, yeah,
actually
yeah.
learning with their character.
Conscious criticism, yeah.
Yeah, you had to be there from the beginning. Um, can you talk about like the physical and mental preparation to get into this character and like what were you trying to embody with Axel? What was given to you and what did you also bring to this character?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think the John Hurwitz, the one of the creators, was nice enough after I got the role, he called me and he basically like went through the character arc of Axel and like this is kind of like this is what is going to happen with him and yada yada down. I was like, okay, this is awesome. Like this is really good to know. And there was nothing like I felt like I wanted to do that was any different than him. Like there was like we were completely on the same page, and obviously it's his show, so he was just. I could have been like, well, I like that. However, I think that Anyway, so yeah, so after I talked to him about that, he's like, I really think you have to do everything you can to prep like physically for the role, like because you just want to come off as this like really imposing guy. And like so I think immediately I didn't have a ton of time. I had like a couple weeks. So in that time I was like I gotta watch the show. I really need to be in the gym because I just want to have the presence of someone who looks like this. It's like if I show up and I just wanted to do everything I could to get myself prepared physically, and it just helps you feel that way. I think like body language is a huge thing with acting. I said this the other day. I was talking to someone, but it really is like the more you can get your body language right for a character, I think a character can just come out of that so much more easily. Like if you don't know if you're like supposed to be this big guy, but you're kind of like slouching down or whatever, it's like no, you have to really believe it and have the physicality for it. So gym, took some kickboxing classes, tried to learn some basic karate kicks, did everything I could research wise and just like prep in that department. Like I couldn't do a ton of stuff. I didn't have a ton of time. And the reality is like you get there and the choreo you're learning sort of, it's like nothing really could have prepared you for it because you don't know what you're going to be doing exactly. So it's like you just do as much as you can. In terms of the role, like I like people have asked me about backstory before, and there's obviously like some amount of that, but so much of the characters in the text, like just you can see it so clearly through his relationship with Sensei Wolf and the dynamic between him and Sam and all that. Like, you know what I mean? And then how he is as a fighter. Like, I think you can learn a lot about him just in what's in the text. So, I think the biggest thing was like prepping the accent and just not wanting to sound like an idiot when I did that, I mean, that was probably outside of the physical stuff was like, but yeah, so it was a couple different things to think about, like I said this before, but I said this before. I guess I didn't say this here, but in my life, yeah. But one of the biggest challenges was when I was doing the fight scenes, trying not to look like I was going through choreography in my mind as I was doing it, because that was a big thing at first. I was like trying to like do something, and I feel like in my face I could feel that I wasn't like, it was pretty clear that I was like thinking about the next move. So that was another thing. It's like, how do I stay in character, like confident, this guy knows exactly what he's doing. He's not questioning anything. And the stunt guys were really good at reminding me that. Like they'd pull me aside sometimes. They'd be like, hey man, remember, like this is like your tournament. Like you don't act like you don't know what you're doing next or what. It's like you keep that confident mindset and the body language of this is, and having them like constantly remind me that, I think really kept me in it. But anyway, yeah.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand what you're saying, and I could picture like when you're trying to learn something, obviously you have like a certain face, like you got to focus on what you're doing, but like but you're in the character too, so it's like you gotta,
It was tough. Yeah,
for sure. Have you ever had any
some moments? If you look real close, I'm probably like.
Just don't zoom in. Don't zoom into.
Don't pause it. Don't you guys dare go pause anybody.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Did you when watching? Were there any moments that you you don't have to like say like what it was, but were there any moments where you pause and you're like, oh, like I remember what I was thinking during that part, or I don't know. You don't have to say what it was, but like
no, I could think of something, I'm sure. I don't want to say this and then have people like go back but there was one moment, it's like the beginning of episode 7, I think, when I do like that Superman punch, and I just remember my mouth is just like, why am I doing that? I was like, why am I like a puff fish right now?
Was it the very first shot? The very first
shot. Like, I think the move looked good, and I was happy with how the move looked. But there was a moment where I was like, "Are you about to pull this up right now?" But I was just sort of like, I was like, "Why am I like puffing my?" But that must have just been like a Patrick thing. That must have been me thinking or trying to like, I think it still worked for the character and it was fine, but like that's something that like maybe somebody else doesn't notice, but as an actor you're like hyper aware of that stuff, so you're like, yeah, that was me not knowing what to do with my face in that moment.
Yeah.
you know
But it's also a new character, so it's not like, oh my god, that facial expression isn't consistent with the previous 6
it's,
seasons.
it's so true. That's so true. It could be anything. I could have done whatever. I could have been, yeah, that's so true.
Exactly. So what about, okay, I gotta ask the war cry. You did a few war cries.
Ooh.
What was that like? Because that just like, I mean, we've seen it in Cobra Kai, and yeah, was there like some practice that went into that, into getting that one down?
Yeah, well, I'll do them generally. Like, sometimes in the morning I'll wake up and just no.
I'm ready to
It
start
wasn't
the
my
day.
first time doing that. I mean, it was, no, that was that was another like intimidating scene. 'Cause it's like basically, okay, I want you to get up in front of literally everybody in this season, and I want you to scream at the top of your lungs and sound really intimidating. So that was not an easy one. It was it's just one of those things. It's like, okay, we're here. You just got to do it. You can't, if you think too much about it, you'll be like, what do I sound like? Am I like, ah? Like, you guys just have to do it. And so, well, I did it a couple times on set, and I felt good about it. But I think the audio was a little bit messed up for whatever, because a lot
It
of times it's
peaked.
supposed to do like ADR. So I went in to like re-record it, and so I just like, I think I lost my voice just being like, like screaming into this microphone, trying to, and it was all like, I was like raspy, and but that was fun. I like that part of. I just think that's a fun moment. But yeah.
Yeah, that you're really getting into character.
I
Like
know.
that's
Yeah,
just like
that was man.
must have felt cathartic, just like letting all that energy out.
Oh yeah, dude. It's great. Try it sometime.
Oh yeah, definitely. Right after this interview.
Yeah. What the
Okay.
hell does that mean? What are you trying to say? Trying to let it out of this interview? Like, God,
I did no, like I
yeah.
did so good. I'm so proud of myself. I don't know. Um okay, I have to ask about that that slightly crazy episode 10. Just a little crazy, just a few things happen there.
Yeah.
Just like an all out brawl with the sick guy tight guy. Um what was your reaction reading the script to that? And also, like, how is all that martial arts portrayed in a script? Like that last 20 minutes where it's
How
like
is it
just
even
brawl, brawl.
legal? You're wondering. No, I'm just
What
kidding.
is
No,
it?
yeah, I agree. No, but I literally couldn't believe that. And if you may have talked to someone who's told you about this, but like there was literally like a whiteboard in the stunt dojo
Yeah,
that
yeah,
was literally just like all of the beats of every fight and each person. I could not believe it. I was like, the work that the stunt people had to do to get that set. I mean, from everybody, but I think especially them, because there was so much to prep in not a lot of time. And then for shooting, we didn't have a ton of time either. So that was an insane. Reading it, I was like, this is gonna be a lot. Like these are, and not only did I don't think I slept at all the night before. I had so much, I was like, I was so ready for it, and I couldn't sleep. I had too much energy. Um, which of course that's not great to go into a day like that with no sleep. Like that's
yeah.
tough. But so I had to learn the choreo that I had for the Robbie fight before that, because obviously that like leads into the brawl. So I had 3 different things I was learning at once, like 3 different big sequences.
Oh my god.
And then there's always like all this choreo that like you don't get to see because it like either doesn't make it into the final cut or whatever. So it's like it was just a lot. It was a lot of prep, but I do remember that day being really fun just because of the madness. Like even when you were kind of like off camera and it wasn't your fight, you're still like kind of running around being crazy and like grabbing people. And I think everybody had a good time, and we were all just like, it was just such a highly ambitious thing for the writers to put in there. But the fact that we pulled it off, and I think people will probably remember that scene as like one of the craziest scenes in the show's history. So it's fun. I feel like very lucky to have been a part of it.
Yeah. No, I don't know what's gonna happen in part 3, but I do think that this part 2 finale, it will probably be the craziest thing just because the writers said that this was like part 3 will wrap everything up, but this one they wanted to just be like the what the F just happened, which
Right.
it was with Kwan's death. What were your thoughts like reading that in the script? And then also on set, actually like filming that, did you like, because this is something that the show has never done before, which is like
Yeah.
kill a character on screen, and not just a character, but a kid at this tournament. Like, what were your thoughts on that whole situation?
No, I'm glad he's gone. Yeah.
Better chance for you to win it all.
No, I was so, you know, like it was. I've talked to Brandon about this. Like, obviously, it's never cool when like it was insane because that has never happened in the show before.
Yeah.
And obviously, like, I don't know, like you have all these feelings of like, oh great, people are gonna think this is my fault, and like everyone's gonna be like, you killed Quan, or
I
like
mean, you
all that
did.
stuff. See, exactly.
Kidding.
My point exactly. No, but you obviously know that's gonna come. But we were saying it's like again, such a iconic moment in the show, and such like a in a lot of ways just like a cool thing to be involved in. You know, like obviously you don't. It's he's such a loved character, and I'm sad. Like I loved Quan. Like he's
Yeah.
amazing, man. He's so good.
Yeah.
So it's a bummer for him not to be in it anymore. But it was just like also just such a cool, like kind of an epic way to go out. So I just think it was like it's just a fun thing to as actors. It's like this is cool. This is cool that we get to be involved in this like crazy finale to part 2, you know, and to be like yeah. So it was fun. And I also just like I kind of love how it connected the storyline too with like him. He's kicking Sam, and that like sets me off, and then all that stuff. It's just fun. Yeah, it was just a fun scene to film.
Yeah.
You know, what was your like? How did you? Were you like super upset, or were you just like blown away, or how did you react initially?
I don't know if I wasn't like upset. I
Do you
was
think it
just
was
like,
my fault? Go ahead.
what? No, because he grabbed the knife.
That's true. Do you think I saw it?
Saw the knife? Yeah.
Yeah. You do?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Did you?
I don't know.
I
I don't know. I haven't decided yet. Yeah.
We'll find out. No,
We'll
but
find out. Yeah.
no, I don't think it was your fault. I think he you like it was like this like you tripped him right while he was jumping in the air, and he
Yeah.
like
And he like
landed.
wailed himself. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, self defense, right?
Yeah. That's how I just want to put that out there. So
Yeah. Do you think Axel murdered him?
no. I think he'd be such a different character if he murdered him, you know?
Oh yeah.
And also just be like an insane thing to yeah, I think that would be like
That would be too far. That would be too far.
Yeah. But
Like
also Quan, it's like that is crazy too. It's like, dude, we were just having like a fun little brawl, and then you had to grab the knife, you know?
literally.
So
Yeah.
yeah.
No, it's like nuts because even earlier in that episode, he's like, taunting Robbie. It's like, like
Yeah,
just like
he's an intense bad guy. Like he really,
he's intense, but it's just like words. But then like
yeah,
we didn't think like I didn't see that and be like, yeah, he's gonna die. Like,
yeah, I know.
oh my goodness. So I think what's so interesting, and I gotta be honest, when I like first heard about your character, I was like, okay, this is going to be the new antagonist for the kids, because I think that was something that, with, at the end of season 5, you have Miguel, Tori, Sam, Robbie, everybody's working together. So it's like, sure, we have Silver and Kreese, but who are going to be the villains for the kids?
Right.
They got to introduce new kids. And that's like, Quan and Zara and you. But what really surprised me was how, you had Zara, who was just very villainous, Quan, who was very villainous, but your character actually gets a lot of like you're not a villain, and you have like a backstory, you have like heart. There's a reason for your actions. Was it like nice getting to play like a three-dimensional character and not just that like one-sided villain. There's like actually like, oh, like this guy's not a bad guy.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I was thrilled about that. And not to say that, I mean, playing a pure bad guy seems like it could be a lot of fun too.
Yeah.
But no, I felt very lucky to get the storyline that I did for the character, because it's like it also, it's like, like I almost think part of the reason I got the role too is like I've not that I don't think I could play like a pure villain, but I just think I've never really played anything like that before, and like I said, the audition scene was that sort of like vulnerable side of him, like the scene with Sam, which to me just felt really natural, and I just kind of got it and understood it, and it just felt like it came to me like pretty naturally. So I think it's awesome having it like gives him somewhere to go. That's what's nice about it. Like I think it gives like he's not all bad, and that's just makes him more interesting. It also makes him more in terms of like where fans stand on the character. It's like I'm sure there's still people who don't might think he's just a bad guy and being like, oh, I don't agree how, and then there's other people who like understand why he is the way he is, and I just think it makes it it's more interesting for me, at least, like for an actor.
Yeah.
But,
I think it's definitely interesting to watch. So
yeah.
yeah, I think it's awesome.
Thanks, man.
And of course, of course. So okay, getting to film in Barcelona, working with Mary Mauser, and I know you mentioned like there were some moments with the cast. Like what was that like? Because even though the
Cool.
season took place in Barcelona,
Yeah.
you filmed most of it in Atlanta, Georgia, right? And then some scenes you got to fly out to Barcelona, right?
Yeah. I was really shocked about that. I didn't know I was gonna be like when I got the role. It was obviously like I saw that it was filming in Atlanta, so I was like, okay. And then like a couple days after that, they were like casting, or somebody had reached out, like production was like, hey, can we get your passport for the Barcelona dates? And I was like, Barcelona dates? Like, what are you talking about? And yeah, sure enough. So that was like pretty early on. I think it was like after we had shot, like I only worked on it for like a couple, maybe like a week and a half or 2 weeks or something before that. And then we went off for about 5 days. And so I basically didn't sleep on the plane. This is like a common theme in shooting, but
No sleep.
I can't sleep on planes.
Well, it
So
sounds like Axel.
kind
No
of,
sleep.
yeah, I was just no sleep.
All training all day.
Yeah, exactly. That's hilarious. But yeah, so I got off the plane and like I tried to take a nap. I couldn't. So I'm literally like showing up for that beach scene, and I'm like, I was so tired. Shot all of the Barcelona stuff that I did. I shot in the very first day when I got there. Um, and then it was kind of nice because the rest of the time I just got to chill. So I just like we went to a Barcelona game. I got to like I kind of roamed around with everybody when they when they were filming. So I just would kind of like hang and go watch and kind of explore nearby. So it was amazing, man. It was definitely one of those moments where you're just kind of like, I think I literally turned to Mary when we were doing that like alleyway scene. I was like, I just like can't believe we get to do this and we're here right now. This is crazy. Like I can't believe we're just like in Barcelona for work and doing. I was like, this is so fun. So yeah, it was great, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. So you were how many days were you filmed the first day you got there, but how many days were you there afterwards?
3 or 4, I would say. Maybe it
And
was
you
just
just
I
got to hang out.
just got to hang out. Yeah.
It's so cool.
Yeah, it was great, man. It was so fun. And Barcelona is awesome. Barcelona is like such a safe city. The people are great and just fun, just cool place. I'd been there once before, like a while ago, so it was cool to be back.
Were there any because this was filmed but like people were seeing this, there were videos that were coming out.
Yeah, yeah.
What was like was anyone coming up to you and like, "Wait, are you in Cobra Kai?" Like were you getting any of that or no?
So no, but obviously a lot of people were. Well, the thing was, a lot of people were coming up to like Mary and Tanner and all, like like they were coming up and Sholo, and so like I was kind of there and around that. So sometimes it'd be like this guy's in it too. Like this, like they're all like very nice. Like they're very sweet about like including, you know, like they were always like go out of the way to be like, this guy's in the new season also. And so that, yeah, they're very nice about that. But no, at that time, I do remember though there was a video that like somebody had taken a video of us on the beach, and that was my first introduction to like the fandom of the show. Like I'd never seen. I was like, I can't believe this is literally. My character has not been announced. Like this is just a random scene. Like there's all this like speculation about like who I am and what this scene is and like what. And I was like, the show hasn't even come out yet, and I haven't even been. This is crazy, you know. So that kind of like, yeah, was my first taste of all that.
Did anybody know it was you?
Like me as an actor, or
yeah, from like the fandom. Like, was anyone able to like?
I don't think so. I don't know. Like I remember some people being like, "No, that's Robbie." Or something. I was like, I don't think anyone. Yeah, I don't know if anyone.
Robbie grew a few inches.
Yeah, I don't think they did.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Of course, I was commenting and I was like, "Oh my God, is that Patrick Luwis? Like, that's got to be him." Like I've seen
that's got to be Patrick Luwis, like new character in the show.
It must be like.
That's awesome.
Yeah, man.
Well, Patrick, I gotta thank you so much for joining me for talking. I mean, we could keep going. I know you have a busy day. You have more interviews coming. You've been doing a ton of interviews, right?
It's been it's been great though. They're fun. It's so fun to talk about it. And you're especially awesome, man. I love your energy and these like it's just fun. It's always fun talking to you. So thanks for having me on. And let's do it again soon.
I appreciate it. Yeah, no, we should for sure. Thank you so much. Do you want to let everybody know like where they can like follow you on social media, and do you have any upcoming like projects or anything, maybe any goals that you're working towards, anything you can tease for the fans?
Like you want to tell them like my New Year's resolutions or something?
yeah, sure. Thanksgiving resolution.
I mean I'm on Instagram. That's like the only social media that I really have, but Patrick D. Luwis is my handle. And yeah, I've got a small part in this movie, The Upside of Unrequited, coming out. I have a small part in this Apple TV show called Rambler. I don't know when that's coming out, but a couple things, yeah, it's to look out for, I guess. Thank you. But no, man, yeah, I guess part 3 is like the main thing. So I'm excited. Be cool to see.
Yes. Last question. Without spoilers, what can you tease about Axel in part 3?
Man, without spoilers, I don't know.
He's in it?
Yeah, he's in it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I don't know what I can tease. Yeah, I feel like I want to say. I mean, the one thing I keep telling people is like, you know, like to your point of there's no way it can get more exciting than the brawl. And like, yes, I agree. Like that was such a crazy scene, but like it's still like some really good episodes, like some really fun, you know, action packed. Like it's gonna be an exciting final 5. So don't like I just hopefully people don't lower their expectations like, oh, there's no way it can get crazier than this, like because it's still very exciting. There's lots to look forward to. So
for sure.
Yeah, man.
Awesome. I'm so hyped. It's gonna be epic.
Oh, me too. I can't wait. It's gonna be great.
Awesome. Well, thank you everybody for watching. Patrick, thank you for joining. Appreciate it so much. We'll have to do this again. Talk more Iron Dragons, more Cobra Kai.
Absolutely, man. Let's do it.
Yeah. So thanks guys for watching. We'll see you next time. And until then,
Cobra Kai never dies.
Woo!